Hi, welcome to A Marriage Interrupted. I am Felicia Horton.
I'll try not to interrupt as much. I'm Jonathan Horton.
We are here today and hopefully every week to share with you our journey as a married couple for 32, almost 33 years, when one of the partners in the marriage has ADHD.
And it interrupts a lot. I'll try not to.
Guess which one of us has ADHD? We have had quite the journey, partially because Jonathan was not diagnosed with ADHD, or we did not learn he had ADHD until about 15 years ago. And so the beginning of our journey was quite complicated and undefined. A lot of obstacles, a lot of unknowns. And throughout all of that, I wished more than anything I had answers. And once I discovered that Jonathan may have ADHD, I wish we had more support and someone got me. And so we have decided to do this. I'm a writer and just wrote a book about Marriage Interrupted. That's the title of it. To outline and hopefully also help those with our situation, outlined what life is like.
Helping us as well as other people.
Definitely. Now, I understand all marriages are difficult. Marriage with ADHD offers different types of obstacles to overcome. So we were thinking today would be a great day to introduce ourselves and how it all began, and all the signs that were there that neither one of us identified, all the way back to the beginning. How's that sound?
It's a long time ago.
It's a long time ago, but I think I remember quite a bit of it in amazing detail. I tend to remember things a bit better.
Too much detail.
But nonetheless, detail. So I actually worked for Jonathan's stepmother, had not met him, and one day I was sitting at the desk. His stepmom, the two women I worked for, were out to lunch. His stepmom and her partner, and he came into the office, and I remember looking up from my desk and first thinking, "Oh wow!" It was summertime, and he was quite tan. He just came in off from a bike ride, and he came over to the desk, and those blue eyes melted me. I think I lost a few breaths, short on oxygen for a bit, and I looked over at him, and then I recognized that he was the young man in the frame on my boss's desk as one of the children. At the time, I thought that was his mother. I did not realize it was his stepmother. I shortly later learned that, but I recognized him. And here this young man is that he does not know I recognize him or know him. I don't really know him. He comes and he just sits down at my desk next to me and just starts talking, wanting to know where his stepmom is, like a little comfortable. And then he told me that he had a triathlon to do and that he needed his stepmom's credit card to reserve his wetsuit.
Water's cold.
The water is cold and he needed his wetsuit, and there I am. I believe I have a good memory. It's not 100% flawless, and it's not 100% every detail. But what I will say is I do not remember how and why and what you said.
You had your American Express card coming out before I even asked.
I gave him my card to use. Sign number 1, or maybe 2. The fact he just came in and plopped himself down as if we were best friends. But I have to say, I gave him my American Express card to reserve the suit. And somehow, before he left, he didn't just get my American Express card.
Got a date.
He asked me out, and I said yes. I don't know. Those eyes just melted me, and I just stopped thinking. Lack of oxygen made me. I don't know. So that's how things started. So then we set the date for that weekend, and after work that day, I went home. I got ready.
You don't remember the day of the week it was? How many days was it before the weekend?
A couple days, I think. I don't
Yeah.
think it was very long.
You waited that long?
Yeah, I had to wait. You didn't offer it sooner. But anyways, I was ready to go, and he didn't show up. I didn't know why he didn't show up.
I had to work late.
I don't think he had to work late. It was
I always have to work late.
10 minutes late, and I'm a prompt person. I don't do things. I'm always early. So 10 minutes late, 15, 20, 25. So I figured, he just stood me up. This is just, he's not going to show up. And so I sat down, and I was kind of brewing a bit, and 45 minutes, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have to make myself something to eat. I'm not going to dinner. And I got up to get something to eat when I heard a honking outside, and I went to the balcony.
There was no parking.
There was parking. He was in his truck. He opened his door, leaned out, looked up, and yelled, "Come down. I'm here. Come down." I was like, no.
I don't think I would have yelled. I think I whistled.
He did whistle first, actually. I think that's what prompted me to go out. But he also honked. But I went. He asked me to come down, and I said,
Maybe he didn't know where you lived.
Yeah, figured it out because you were right there. Maybe you just...
Well, you came out.
Because you honked and whistled. So then I go, and I'm like, no. I'm a lady. Treat me like a lady. You park your truck, you come up, and then I'll decide after you being an hour late if I'm even going to let you in. So he parked. There was an adjacent dentist office that was parking right there. But anyways, he parked. I came up. I let him in. We went to dinner, and I had tickets to Hawaii. I was going with...
oh my God, I thought you were going to say you knew what you had.
No, we had the buffet. I do remember that.
The veggie salad.
No, we had the buffet because of what you brought to me. So I had tickets to go to Hawaii with a gentleman that I had broken up with, but we had these tickets, and he goes, "Just go with me as a friend." I'd never been to Hawaii. I wanted to go so bad. So I said, I told him on our date, I said, I'm going to Hawaii with this guy. And he said, "No, you're not." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Yes, I am." And then he goes to the buffet, and he comes back, and he brings a plate of tropical fruit. It was the kiwi, I don't know.
Pineapple, that's what's
Pineapple. It was, anyways. And he goes, "This is the closest you're going to get to Hawaii without me. If you ever go, I'll take you." And I looked at him like, "What are you, nuts? What was that? What kind of pickup line is that one?" So then after, he takes me home and hangs out and looks at me at one point in the evening and says, "I'm going to marry you." And I said, "This is our first date. And if that line works for you, good luck. But I don't sleep with anyone on the first date. So this is just not happening." And he goes, "No, I'm going to prove to you that you're the one. I know it. I'm going to marry you." And I thought he was a nut job. But he stayed that night, and we were up all night talking. And he made no advances whatsoever. As a matter of fact, actually, as I recall now, I remember at one point, a couple months into it, every night we'd fall asleep. He never left. He came back every night, and every night we'd fall asleep talking into the night. And I remember at one point I asked you if you were gay, because you didn't make any advancement. You were making a point. You were going to prove to me that this was serious.
Do you ever sit back and wonder, wow, it worked?
It did work. It did. It's still working. It's still working. Anyway, so, 4 months later, I was pregnant.
What happened there?
Yeah. Another sign of ADHD. Being very spontaneous. And when I was...
Takes two.
It does take two. Yes, it does. So you asked me to marry you at that point. And I had been married before, and I said, "No, I don't want to do this. I don't want to, 1, get married just because I'm pregnant. 2, I do not want to do this. I don't want to be one of those people that have been married 5 times." Like,
there was no discussion on whether or not you were going to keep it. It definitely was keep it all the way. Not even a thought.
We knew we were having a baby together. That was not ever a question. We knew we were. And we knew we were staying together. We wanted to be together. I did not want to get married just because. And I was 6 months pregnant, and I was at work, and I was no longer working with his stepmom. That's a whole different story for a whole different podcast or a whole different series. But I was at work, and my coworker, Sally Ann, who I still think of often, said, "What are you waiting for? You're so in love with him. You guys are going to spend your life together. You're having a baby together. Why do you say no to him?" And at one point, I actually said to him, "Don't ask me again," because I didn't want to say no and see that look hurt you had. You look like a hurt puppy dog, and I felt terrible, but I didn't want it to be for the wrong reasons. So he hadn't asked again because I told him not to. And so I said, I don't know. I don't know why. I'm just scared. I was really scared. I was young and I was scared. And so she made me see that there was no reason. At one point, I remember her saying, "Do you really want your child born and you not being married?" And I thought, no, that's not what I want. So her mom was a florist. She called her mom. She got flowers for us. We made a sign that said Tahoe or bus. We lived in the San Francisco area. We made a reservation for a hotel. We reserved a place at a chapel. We made a sign, "Just married." And on the way home, I went shopping and I got 2 wedding bands. Couldn't find a dress to wear. I was in a panic. I was a nervous wreck. So I ended up with a bit of a belly, right? A little belly at this time. I ended up getting like a cream colored slack and a pink cashmere sweater. So I didn't know what else to get. Didn't tell anyone. Got a brown paper bag, actually. I remember stopping at the grocery store, getting home. And when Jonathan got in, he had just been on one of his bike rides. He came in and I asked him to sit on the couch, and he sat down. And I handed him a paper bag, a brown paper bag.
I thought it was food. I was excited.
Yeah, I know. And then I was standing there looking at him while he took one thing out at a time. And at the bottom of the bag was the wedding ring. And he opened it up, and at this point I got on one knee and I said, "Jonathan, will you marry me?"
I remember that. I don't remember a lot, but I do remember that.
I recall.
What did I say?
You cried. You say you didn't cry. I recall that you cried, and my response was, "Man, you gotta hurry up. You need to shower. We gotta go because we have to get to the hotel. I don't want them to give away our reservation." And we had a long drive to Tahoe from Marin County. So.
And I'll never turn down a trip to Tahoe. So I was all for that.
Yeah, the trip to Tahoe. So we did. We packed up real quick and headed out to Tahoe. And then the next morning we had to wake up early and go get our marriage license. I was a nervous wreck, and I remember going for the license and him pointing out the cows on the pasture, and he's all calm, and I'm like gonna throw up. I was like so nervous. Not throw up because I was pregnant. I was nervous. And then we get to the chapel. We're the only ones there. We're the first ones in the morning. And the lady checks us in, and we actually had to hire the photographer to be our witness. We had to pay for that. And then we decided to get the videotape of it. And then they said, "Okay, wait
Still
in the
have
room."
it. Watch it.
We
awesome video.
Show the kids.
VHS. Those of you who remember VHSs.
It's really hokey, actually. It's quite embarrassing. But so anyway, so we go in the room, and they tell us to wait in this room, and it's a red velvet couch. No joke. This is the God's honest truth. And it was like the shape of the room. It was this huge like U shape. And on the wall were Velvet Elvis pictures.
Awesome.
I'm a wreck. There's
I'm an
a
Elvis
TV.
fan.
He's watching the TV, and I'm a wreck. I'm nervous. Am I making a mistake? And I don't know what I'm doing. And then the woman who just checked us in comes in, and now we're the only ones in this room. And she goes with her little clipboard, Horton party? Horton party? Anyone here for the Horton party? And I'm like, I remember looking around going, is this a joke? This is too funny to be true. Where's the hidden camera? Because it was like, we're the only ones in the room. And I'm like, that's us. So we go in, and the gentleman who officiated the wedding was this older gentleman wearing a rust-colored polyester suit, bolo tie. The pants were quite short, and he was wearing snakeskin boots. And he had a Bible opened and he was telling us how it would be choreographed. I'd be on top of the stairs, the light would go on, I'd walk down the stairs, the music would start. The whole thing was all staged, right? And they had this whole plan for us. And our witness.
If you're going to elope, make it as cheesy as possible.
It couldn't have
We
been much,
did, definitely.
It couldn't have been much easier. For me, though, I look back at this. We eloped. We didn't tell anyone. No one knew. I knew my mom was going to be pissed. His family was going to be pissed. I knew this. But in the moment, I thought this had to be about us. It couldn't be a big deal. Not everyone was on board with our relationship. They were not on board with me getting pregnant or being pregnant. So there we are. And this gentleman has a Bible and he's talking about Jesus and nothing against that except I'm Jewish. And all I kept thinking is
Jesus and me are like this. So.
Yeah, right. And so I'm thinking that the lightning is gonna strike. And and in that moment I'm thinking, oh, my mom's gonna be so mad at me. My mom's gonna be so mad at me. But we did it. We got married, we bought the video, we left, we went to the casino, we had $20 in our pocket, we lost it. We got in the truck, we drove home just in time to see Mike Tyson lose his first fight. That was our beginning. That was the beginning.
That would be February 10th, 1990.
That would be almost 33 years ago. So that's our story. And looking back at all of the whirlwind beginning signs that I see now, all of the things that I thought were just so precious and cute and fun, all the spontaneity and all, they were in the moment, but they were the ADHD that those same things ended up wreaking havoc on our lives later on.
What do you mean when you want to get organized and sophisticated?
Be on time, follow a plan.
It's overrated.
Is it though? Oh, in a courtship, it's not overrated. In real life, it's overrated. So now here we are. We have 5 amazing children. We have 4 daughters and a son whom we adore completely, totally, unconditionally. No regrets there whatsoever. And we are so blessed with 3 grandchildren that are the light of our lives. But here we are.
And as of taping, one of them birthday today.
Yes, happy birthday, Caden. So here we are sharing in hopes that this is as raw and natural and truthful as we can possibly be and not be too embarrassing and make it too uncomfortable. It's embarrassing for me as well. I have to say that we bicker more than we should. We butt heads more than we should. I get extremely frustrated and you get very disappointed. And it's hard. It's hard. At this stage of our marriage, we should be in a much different situation in our marriage, in our lives. But ADHD has played a huge role on that. And now we get married. We have all these obstacles. I don't know why, and I am ready to leave. I couldn't take it. I was the frustration, the problems, but I was in love, and I had a family, and I needed to figure out what was going on. So I started Googling and researching, and came up with the possibility of it being ADHD. And I'm
Why didn't you tell me that earlier in life?
If I knew, if anyone knew. And that's what I want to ask you as we're introducing ourselves. Well, actually, first I want to just share, if you could tell everyone, I've shared, I'm a writer. I have an e-commerce business, and I right now am not employed by anyone in particular. I'm doing freelance work. Jonathan, you want to share more about your journey and where you are?
My journey, employment-wise, I fell into construction at an early age, high school. Summers I would work for a friend of my father in the Bay Area, and I loved it. Construction was fun. I fit right in, And so after I squeaked through high school and tried to go to college afterwards, I probably did more construction related work than anything. So it made sense. And then I find out later why it became so easy, because of that profession that's more freer with boundaries, focusing, hyper focusing to a fault on projects. The part that's missing is the organization of like running a company, running a construction company. Being a general contractor, so I semi-successful, but never reached any huge plateau because it just didn't get by the paperwork aspect of it.
So a few things I just want to share. One is the creative part of it. Jonathan's very creative, very good at what he does. The other part is he does have his general contractor's license, and he aced the test because he's very smart, because it was important to him. And he struggled all through youth. You struggled all through school and just squeaked by because of the ADHD that was undiagnosed. And yet he squeaked by because he's very intelligent. He just has spent a lifetime of not believing it, because when you have ADHD that goes undiagnosed, for many, you were you struggled to complete projects and to get work done and to get assignments done and to do what was necessary in school, right? And so you were reprimanded a lot, and you were left to feel inferior in many cases, or not capable. And I think that has created somewhat of an insecurity that you're not capable of doing the job, because nobody aces the general contractor's license test as well as you did if you didn't have the capabilities. So that is my take on it. As you will see in our process, we both have our opinions on these things. But one thing I do know is that Jonathan is very talented at what he does. So I wanted him to share that, because ADHD lends itself to careers such as construction for the reasons he explained. So here we are, sharing who we are, in hopes that we are going to be able to help other couples out there who don't know what to do, or feel alone, or maybe they can even help us in this journey. We're hoping it will be, as I said before, honest and real. I have over a year's worth of podcasts or videos. We opted not to podcast, actually. And the reason for that at this point is because of Jonathan's ADHD and our ability to pull it all together. So
You're talking about equipment related? I was supposed to find all the equipment.
Yes. So instead of putting it off any longer, we decided we're going to go post this on YouTube, get our YouTube channel going. I am in the process of completing a book. Actually, Jonathan and I wrote it together, called A Marriage Interrupted. We are working on our website, and I am completing numerous blogs. I am hoping to create a foundation of support for couples who do or do not know what their problem is in the marriage, or their obstacles, or what's creating those, or the frustration. I'm hoping that all of this work is completely viewed as two people who are not professionals by any means, but are just coming from their reality, their truth, their place of pain and sorrow and joy, and their learning process.
I wanted to add, sincerely appreciate and lucky, I may add, that you have stuck it out with me for all these years, when I think a lot of people would have said, dude, you're out.
Love.
Sucker.
Love makes you do some funny things.
So you think all those other people aren't in love?
No, it's. I will say this: it's harder to leave than to stay. But we're here, and the foundation of love is solid. So again, sometimes love isn't enough. I get that. Sometimes it's just not enough for all the other stuff that goes with it. So far, that has been enough. It's been enough to make me fight for us. And I'm not easy either. Don't. I don't want this to all be we're bashing on Jonathan, because I'm not an easy person to live with.
OCD.
I'm very OCD. We couldn't be more opposite from each other. And I am so anally organized and put together and methodical. And Jonathan is so not those things. And I don't think one or the other is right or wrong. I wish we could both be in the middle. Maybe people think
Opposites
that balance
attract.
is,
That's what I hear everywhere. Everybody tells me opposites attract. Well, definitely.
It's pretty opposite. But to summarize and to sum up our little chat today, we invite you to join us again. We have outlined our chats with you.
They'll get more interesting.
I don't know. I thought this was pretty interesting. I hope you did too. And I thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. We're really aiming for 30 minutes because there's a lot to share and a lot to be said.
15 minutes would be great. Just talk faster.
We'll be meeting with you for 30 minutes, unless y'all tell us you don't want 30 minutes. We'll see. But so far, what I've outlined, we could probably go for a full hour. But we're going to start with 30. And hopefully, once this all gets posted, you will have an avenue to reach out to us as well. And so that we can open up this forum for conversation and to help. So, A Marriage Interrupted. We thank you very much for joining us. Again, I'm Felicia.
I'm Jonathan.